Greetings and salutations, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory, aka your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher. The title of this video, I think I'm going to call it Black Authenticity. What is it? What does it mean to be authentically black? Now, growing up myself, I was a part of a counterculture, the counterculture of one. I wasn't a hip hop head, I wasn't a thug, I wasn't a pretty boy, I wasn't an athlete. I was merely me. Now, I liked comic books. I was into my school's drama department. I was in my school's creative writing club, and I wrote various poems and short stories in my personal notebooks. And that's what I did. Now, growing up, I've been accused, and even today, people say, "You talk proper," and of course, proper is code for white person. Now, my first question is, why is white considered to be proper and black or anything that isn't white is considered improper? That's something that nags me. Two, why is it that blackness is associated with ignorance, poverty, and the struggle? Now, I was looking at Sergeant Willie P's video. I'm stammering. Anyway, Sergeant Willie P's video, it's called Polished Turd Culture. And in it, one of the things he talked about is how many black cultures identify with the struggle. Even the theme to Good Times, if you know the Evans family, they lived in the projects. And of course, they were scratching and surviving and hanging in the child line. And of course, we laughed at it. We love it to this day. We still say the word dynamite and all that other stuff. But the reality is, they were a poor family trying to struggle and scratch and survive. Conversely, when the Bill Cosby show came out in 1984, and I can remember being a little boy, and every Thursday night, my family would watch this show together. So anyway, the Cosby Show depicted a black man who was a doctor and a black woman who was a lawyer, and they were happily married and they had a full functioning family. And many criticized the show for not being realistic in regards to the black experience. So there seems to be this downtrodden view that black people have of themselves. And when I say black people, I'm including me in that as well. I noticed that anti-intellectualism is promoted within the black community. That makes you authentically black. It's sort of like we're looking for some certificate of authenticity in the black community. My black is real. I'm real because I went to jail. I'm real because I do drug, or I did drugs. I'm real because I'm tatted up. I'm real. And you fake because you're square, cornball, and lame. You're fake because you talk a certain way. And of course, how does the negative aspects of the black community seem real or more genuine or more authentic than any of the positive aspects? Now, my folks were working class folks. My father a mechanic, my mother worked for Purina, and just me and my sister were, in the home. So we weren't struggling and scratching and surviving and having to worry about when the lights were on, because my folks took care of that. So if we were having any problems or issues, it never really got brought up like that. My folks took care of it. Though I've talked to other people and they did not have it as well as I did, and I do have to acknowledge that. Now, I'm not saying we were living in the lap of luxury, but we weren't living in the hood where I had to worry about getting shot as a child, or I had to worry about getting into a bunch of fights because I carried school books or something. But, and that's another thing in Sergeant Willie P's video. One of the things he talked about was how he has counted a lot of disdain from the street dudes or the street folk that came from maybe a struggling environment. And of course, because he came from a suburban environment, according to him, according to him, they look at him as though there's this disdain or there's this disgust because he doesn't have the same authenticity as the other blacks. And for myself, why does struggle have to be synonymous with the black experience? Why does ignorance, why does miseducation or non-education be associated with blacks? Where education and discipline and intellectualism is associated with whites, even if it's further from the truth. So that's just something I ask. What gives someone black cred? When can I say I'm authentically black? Or do I have to wait for some random and mysterious gatekeeper to grant me blackness? And then, of course, since the black community doesn't have the structure, we're not even a community, we're a collective, then I have to ask, who is anybody to grant or deny blackness to anybody? Because we don't have any guidelines, we don't have a structure in place. So that's just something that's been turning around in my head. And just tonight, I came across Sergeant Willie P's video, and I'm like, you know what? He's got some good points. Now, there are points of contention I have with him because at times I think he comes off a bit classist and he comes off a little bit elitist. But he's got some good points in the vid. Another thing that I just want to, and I'm checking my notes here real quick. There always seems to be this sort of square versus thug, this sort of suburbia versus the hood. In the case of St. Louis, city versus county. And I think black people are in survival mode and we're trying to get things together. But when you're in survival mode, you don't have the time to observe the delicacies of the society. So that's just really my 2 cents on the subject of what is black authenticity. Either make a video about it or give me your feedback. What is black authenticity and who can define it and who should define it and who shouldn't define it? Peace. Thank you.